Hey guys, Madness here, and today is a special day. Yes, today marks the 10th year anniversary of one of my favorite video game series of all time. That of course being Shovel Knight. And today I want to celebrate it with you all. But not in the way most people would. No. Well, most people will probably talk about the games or some of the more memorable characters like Shovel Knight, Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, or even the asshole known as King Knight. But not me. I'm not that type of guy, no. Instead, I want to talk about one of the more underrated characters. Well, okay, less characters, more groups. As today, we're going to be talking about the other villainous group in the Shovel Knight series outside of the Order No Quarter, that being the Hexcavators. Okay, so first things first, who are the Hexcavators? The Hexcavators are an evil group of villains in the Shovel Knight series led by Drill Knight. And there are a total of 6 different members of this group. They are as follows: Spore Knight, Mole Knight, Tinker Knight, Hive Knight, Scrap Knight, and their leader, Drill Knight. And they have one single goal in mind, that being making their names in history by stealing a legendary weapon hidden in the underground. But the only way for them to get them, though, is to find the Stones of Fate, which Shovel Knight just so happens to own. But okay, now that I gave a quick rundown of their actual motives and all that, I feel like now it's a good time to actually talk about the characters on her own. So let's get started with Spore Knight. First up is Spore Knight. She's the front line of the group, meaning that she deals with all the warriors who enter the well first. She's also how do I pronounce this again? Hang on.
Mycologist.
Thank you, Google. She's also a mycologist, aka a mushroom scientist. But she loves a lot about mushrooms. She loves learning about them, and she also loves growing them, with her actually being a pretty decent cook as well. She also may or may not be some for Drill Knight, but that's neither here or there. Next up is Tinker Knight, and if I'm being honest, there's not really much to say about him. He's kind of the same as he is in Treasure Trove, which isn't really a bad thing. He was one of the weaker knights to me, but I still like him a lot. So instead, I actually want to talk about the boss order, because I actually really like the boss order in this game. It's actually done really well. Okay, so the boss order goes like this. So Spore Knight is the first boss, obviously, which is actually a really good placement, because placing a brand new boss at the very beginning allows that character to be shown before the others. Our next two bosses are Tinker Knight and Mole Knight. You get to choose one or the other. They're placed in the middle area, which if it was a new character, they'd probably be skimmed over and forgotten about. But because these two are well established already in the Shovel Knight series, it works perfectly fine for them. And actually does help get the other characters over. Like group number 3, Hive Knight and Scrap Knight. Once again, really perfect placement, though it depends on ultimate fights, so obviously they're going to stand out a lot more, especially since they have dialogue with Drill Knight at the very end. And finally is Drill Knight, obviously, because why not? But okay, let's get back to talk about the bosses. Next we have Mole Knight, and oh man, what a glow up. Now, Mole Knight wasn't my favorite character in Treasure Trove. Actually, that's kind of an understatement. He was a character I actually didn't really like at all. But I actually really like him in this game. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his redesign, maybe it's the way he talks, or maybe it's just his boss fight and theme, but I love him a lot more here. In fact, honestly, if I were to rank Mole Knight, I'd probably rank him as 2 different characters. His Treasure Trove version and his Shovel Knight Dig version. Because honestly, his Shovel Knight Dig version is way better. But okay, let's stop talking about Mole Knight and let's get to more new characters like Hive Knight. No, not that Hive Knight. This Hive Knight. Hive Knight is a spelunker and lives among the bugs. In fact, he might actually be the only Hexcavator that lives underground already because, well, he takes care of the bugs. He goes out, does missions, brings back food to feed them. That's probably a big reason why he's also working with Drill Knight, so that way he can get more food for his bugs. And we can tell he really likes bugs too, because he also has a pet named Beto, which is, well, a Beto. Also, speaking of things that rhyme with Beto, did you know that he's also beloved Danny DeVito? I'm not kidding. Look it up. It's actually on the fucking wiki. And you know, I love it. Also, his pet Beto Fleck may or may not be a murderer, but once again, that's neither here or there. But now we get to the story-relevant characters, starting with Scrap Knight. Scrap Knight is a thief and a scavenger. She's also Drill Knight's second in command. Speaking of which, she's a thief. She's actually a thief kind of similar to Treasure Knight. The only difference is that Treasure Knight wants gold. What Scrap Knight wants, though, is legendary weapons like the Shovel Blade or the Phase Locket, for instance. Where she's also someone who's very impulsive and impatient, being very tired of keeping an eye on the magic landfall all day, instead of being the first to see this powerful weapon that she helped find. Or she also just has a really cool design. Honestly, she probably has one of my favorite new designs in the game. But she's neither my favorite new character or has my favorite design. No. Both of those go to Drill Knight, the GOAT, the king, the best character in the game. Droll Knight's actually a very interesting villain, as unlike a lot of the other like the Enchantress or even King Knight, Droll Knight actually shows both respect and compassion to his whole team, saying that his whole mission is not just all about himself, but is actually team effort, with once again trying to make the Hexcavators a well-known and well-feared team. And I love it. Honestly, it's not just Droll Knight who shows his compassion, as all the Knights seem to at least respect or like one another. The only real exceptions to that rule are Tinker Knight and Mole Knight, which, well, both were part of the Order No Quarter, so yeah, it makes sense. And the only other one is Hive Knight and Scrap Knight, but let's be honest, Scrap Knight just really does not like Hive Knight. Outside of that, all of them do seem to like each other. From Tinker Knight and Scrap Knight seeming to get along and see each other as a good team, to Hive Knight actually feeling bad about Spore Knight because she has to deal with all the warriors trying to come down and fight first. Or heck, they actually just kind of sit around a fire and just kind of talk to one another. It's actually kind of fun. In fact, it's honestly probably my favorite part about Shovel Knight Dig. No shit talking the game, I think the game's good. It's just that I really love character interactions, and this game gives me those in spades. But okay, now that I talk about the Hexcavators as both a group and on their own, one question still remains. Why do I like them more than the Order? Well, here's the thing. When I think about the Order, I don't really think of the Order as a team. I only really think of the Order as the characters on their own. Like, I don't really think about Spectre Knight and Plug Knight as a team, I only really think about them as their own characters, which is perfectly fine. Hell, Plug Knight and Spectre Knight are my two favorite characters in the whole franchise. Meanwhile though, the Hexcavators are kind of the opposite. When I think of any of the members of the Hexcavators, I don't really think of them as their own character, which may sound bad, but that's not what I'm trying to make it sound like. No. When I think of them as a team. As a team that wants to make their name known. As a team that respects each other and tries to work together. I love them. Hell, like I said, I love them more than the Order No Quarter, because, well, they're just very well-wishing characters. Alongside that, they honestly just have a really good theme, too. That being a theme of underground. Or whether it be mushrooms, bugs, or just being really good at digging. I love these guys, and I really wish that these guys would return. Especially Spore Knight and Hive Knight, I kind of wish they actually appeared in Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, but that's a topic for another day. Now, I know this won't get any views, nor do I think most people will be making a video on these guys today. But I wanted to honor them because even though they weren't there from the very beginning, they're still a big part of the Shovel Knight series, and I honestly wish that more people knew about these guys. And I hope you guys give these guys a little bit more respect, because I personally think they deserve a lot more respect than I have given already. But that's all I have to talk about today. My name's Superstar Madness, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!